All right. Hi. Let's see. Okay, great. Hi there. Good afternoon. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I am here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. I am also here to give you a great topic. Today, I'm going to be talking about one way you can apply for your permanent residence on your own. There are a few ways. So you would be able to do it. You may be able to do it through employment if you have exceptional ability or extraordinary ability. Hi there on YouTube. It's nice to see you. You could also apply for your own green card if you've received asylum, if you have the T visa, the T status, or the U status. Those would be an option for you after some time having the status or asylum. But today I'm going to talk about one called VAWA. There are a lot of misconceptions surrounding VAWA that I want to get out of the way, and for you to understand that this may be an option for you. This is usually an option where you may have the relative, you may have the parent, you may have the citizen's son or daughter, you may have the spouse, the US citizen or resident spouse, parent, or child, but they may be mistreating you. They may they may not have offered because they're mistreating you, or they may have threatened that they're going to cancel your green card, or you don't trust them to apply for you. And it is in this case that you may be able to apply for your own permanent residence. So where in this case you can apply on your own, you will need to have a US citizen or legal permanent resident, spouse, a parent if you're under 21, in some cases even under 25, or you have a US citizen's son or daughter who's 21 and up. If that is the case, then and the relative is mistreating you. Mistreatment means they're verbally abusing you or mistreating you. They're mentally, emotionally, maybe even financially, where they take all your money, they draw all the money out of your bank account, or they stop you from working. They tell you they will not allow you to work because that's another way to gain control of you. And it doesn't necessarily even have to fall within only verbal. And it doesn't have to be direct emotional, as in they are calling you names or they're yelling at you. It could be where they do vindictive, cruel things to harm you. And if that's the case, you could still apply for this because that is still a form of abuse. So, for example, if you go out and they publicly embarrass you, if they even privately embarrass you, if they pretend to be all nice when you go out, but then in private they put you through this type of torture, then you could still apply for your own permanent residence. You may qualify for what's called VAWA. Now, VAWA is the technical term for VAWA is Violence Against Women's Act. And this is where I want to clear up that misconception. This is not just for women. This is for men and women, all genders. The men, women, this could even be for transgender. It's for, if you're a person and you're in this situation, then this could be for you. So basically, it covers all people. And so that's the first thing I need you to get out. So if you're a man, you're being mistreated by your spouse, doesn't matter the gender of your spouse, you can be protected by this. This could allow you to gain control of your own situation and apply for your own permanent residence. It is confidential. That means that you will not have to seek permission. The immigration service will not be contacting them. They will not be calling them to find out their side versus your side. They will be using your background check. They'll be using public records. They will be using your statement and your evidence to come up with, to determine whether your information is credible and whether they can approve it. So this is all up to you. If now, another thing is, if you're out of status, this could still be for you. This particularly protects individuals who are out of status. So if you're here, if you cross the border without permission, if you are here, you overstayed, your stay has now expired, guess what? This will not cause you to be denied, right? As long as you qualify, they are not going to just say that because you're out of status, you can't qualify for this. Thanks so much for the love. I appreciate it. This is it really warms up my heart. Thank you so much. Now, your children. So I know some people, they may be sticking it out with their spouse, for example, because the spouse has also filed for the children. And as a result of that, they may be hanging on in a very volatile, dangerous situation where they're being harmed, they're being scarred, and even the children are being scarred. This is where I also want you to know that the children also get to be included in this application without a separate petition. However, if the children are being mistreated, then they could qualify independently. If your spouse has not harmed you, but they have harmed your children, you could still qualify for VAWA as well. And it doesn't have to mean physical. The police they don't have to be involved. You don't have to have medical records showing injuries, even though this all does qualify you. If all you have is your memory about what kind of torture you had to go through, then it still can qualify you for permanent residence in the United States. So there are many benefits when your back is against the wall. If you are in a dangerous situation, if you feel you need to get out of this current situation with your parent, your spouse, your son or daughter, you can. Now, in the parent-child context, this could possibly include a parent who has willfully neglected you, a deadbeat dad or mom who has not been there for you, who they've intentionally deprived you of all the necessities as a child, or they have neglected you emotionally. They have willfully done things to neglect you, or willfully they've done things to hurt you as their child discovers you. And also, if you are if you're the parent and you have a citizen son or daughter, then if they are putting you through issues, if, for example, if your child has emotional issues that drives them to harm you, doesn't have to be physical, but harm you, maybe mentally, emotionally, this is for you. If your child is going through substance abuse problems, they are stealing from you, they are breaking into your house, they're refusing to leave the house, they're doing things to harm you in that way, guess what? This is for you. And a lot of individuals, this is complex, right? You have your loved one. It doesn't mean just because they are abusing you or mistreating you, it doesn't mean that you don't love them, right? Doesn't mean that you don't have the urge to protect them. What I can say in this situation is that this is immigration. It does not relate to law enforcement. So the officers are going to be evaluating your statement and your evidence in that regard to see if you qualify, but they're not going to necessarily your relative is not going to get into trouble with law enforcement because of your statement to the immigration. As a matter of fact, the Immigration Service should not be sharing your information. They cannot share your information. So many benefits here. Also, I, as the attorney, I use my address and office to collect all the mail from the Immigration Service. So if you're currently living with your spouse, your parent, or your child, it will not be going to their address. I communicate with my clients and we organize how to exchange any important documents. If you need to make an appointment, we arrange that as well. So this is where you can get in touch with me. Let me know what your situation is. We can evaluate your circumstances And then once I confirm you qualify, we get started. Keep in mind that if you have had trouble yourself, for example, there are situations where the spouse gets into trouble, or the parent or the child who's being abused or mistreated, they get into trouble when the police are called. They are the ones that end up getting arrested because the abuser construed the situation in a different manner. If that's the case, guess what? There is case law that protects you. And the USCIS just announced that this will not be held against you because it is related to the abuse. Because there are domestic situations where you have to defend yourself. And unfortunately, if the police don't understand that, you can end up, you do have situations, or sometimes where the victim they want to protect their spouse or protect their parent or protect their child. So they don't tell the truth and they end up going to jail too. So in situations like this, the Immigration Service, they are trained. It's in their policy manual that they should not be using situations like this against you in the application. But even if you've had a separate arrest, a separate conviction, there is still the possibility to apply for your own green card, get through regardless. Also, if you came into the country and you came in with somebody else's passport, you snuck across the border, this is still for you. So give me a call. Once I confirm you qualify, I get on it right away because I understand your need to have status here, to have control of your situation. And so we treat your situation with urgency. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and answer questions. I see quite a few, so I'm going to go through these very quickly. Hi there, T-Chef, it's nice to see you. Go ahead, put your questions in. That's why I'm here. I'm also here to answer your questions. So what if they just get their residence? So if they just got their residence and they're mistreating you, it qualifies you as long as they're a permanent resident or a U.S. citizen. My mom did biometrics February 25th, still hasn't received anything. Any sister and heard anything. My sister filed for her. So I would want to understand the situation. Where is your mom, and is she doing adjustment of status? Sometimes it's gonna be a couple months before you hear something, but I also want to understand the situation here. So that's where you're gonna schedule the consultation. What about filing for the TPS? So only specific countries qualify for TPS. Some of those countries include Haiti, includes Honduras, it includes Venezuela, and some African countries as well, so Somalia, but not every single country is going to qualify you for this form of relief. So keep that in mind. My dad is an American, and also Ukraine. Ukraine is the latest one that's going to qualify. My dad is American, but he never signed my birth paper. I'm over 30 now. Can he do? Yes. So he would be able to, but if he didn't sign, if he's not on your birth certificate, you will have to show secondary evidence as well as a possible DNA test to show that he's your father. My mom did her biometrics, so I answered that. Okay. How can I communicate to the NVC to ask about my husband's petition? So you'll have usually the online process is going to be the best way. Unfortunately, it's not very efficient. It's not a very fast process. They do take about a month or even 2 to get back to you. What if your parents just get their residency? So I'm not sure in what context. I don't know if they just got their residency, that's great, but how does that, what's the follow-up question to that? All right, keep putting those questions in. I'm blowing through these questions. How does a business marriage work in the USA? It doesn't, no limit. It doesn't, there's no such thing as a business marriage. It's completely illegal. It will get you in jail. and you will end up with severe immigration consequences like a permanent ban from ever coming to the US. So there's no such thing. If you hear somebody say, hey, do you want to enter a business marriage with me to get your green card? Run. It's not legal. Don't let anybody get you into that situation. I-485 biometrics on March 17th. How long till I got my work permit? So it's not, I wouldn't be able to tell you the estimated time after your biometrics just because it's all over the place. People get their biometrics 1 month after filing, or they do their biometrics 3 months after, and then they get their work permit a month after. So unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to tell you even an estimated time after the biometrics. But right now, I can tell you work permits are taking anywhere from 3 months. I've seen 3 months to as long as 12 months. So it's going to depend. Oh, thanks for the share. I appreciate it. I noticed that the work permits are lasting 3 years, so 2 years now. So they're 2 years. How long is the process of marriage green card taking? So I tell my clients to prepare for 18 to 24 months. It could be less, could be much less, could be more, just depends on did you submit a great application? Did you submit a complete application? That's where it's important to get legal representation. Were there additional issues involved that extended the time? So that's where you need to make sure that you're protected. But 18 to 24 months is what I'm seeing on average. Good day. Is the EAD card connected to advance parole, or is it two separate cards? So they're doing both. What you may find is you may get the work permit without the EAD. They're doing that to try to speed up the work permits. But as soon as their EAD is processed, they'll send you another one with the EAD and the travel document in there. Thanks for the question. Keep putting questions on YouTube and TikTok because I'm answering. Do I need to be 21 to file a fiance visa? No. My husband is in Jamaica. He applied for a travel visa about 7 months before we got married. Okay, so can I apply for the marriage visa? So you can, no, there's no such thing as, I say spouse visa, but what it really is, it's a pathway to permanent residence. And so it's called the immigrant visa. When you come into the country with the immigrant visa, you become a permanent resident. You can, I don't know, I would have to understand your spouse's background. I would have to understand the situation. But as far as if you're married to a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, even if you're outside of the U.S., you could qualify for this. And this would probably be the best thing for you. But I would have to speak with you in a consultation because all the information I'm giving you here is not personalized legal advice. I put my husband's paperwork in from 2019. I emailed them and they emailed me back. They will give decision in 90 days. Okay. So you just have to keep in touch. Look out for that. What does it mean when they send a letter about biometrics? So biometrics is where now they're sending two types of letters right now. One is they're reusing your biometrics. If they're saying that, it's good news. It means you don't have to go to do your fingerprinting again. They're going to use your old fingerprints. But if they send you an appointment letter, then you're going to go in, you're going to do your fingerprints. It's really quick. It's not going to be an interview. They're not going to ask you any questions. You're going to go in, they're going to take your fingerprints, they're going to take your signature, they're going to take your picture, and then they're going to say bye. So it's not very long. It's not intimidating at all. You just need to make sure that you have the biometrics notice and you have your ID, and then you go in. And it is, you usually get that some weeks after submitting your application. I'm from India. How long will it take for the green card if I'm married to a US citizen? So I say prepare for 18 to 24 months. It could be more, could be less, but I say just prepare for an 18 to 24 months. Friend is documentarily qualified, so awaiting interview, but the backlog is over 430K. Can you help? So the 430K, it really, when they're documentarily qualified, the backlog isn't going to be the entire population of those that backlog, but in the country, I don't know, in the country that you're in, they're going to look at whether the embassy has some openings, and the embassy might be a year backlog. So it's going to be now whether or not I can help. I usually do expedite requests for my existing clients if they qualify, because not everyone qualifies for their case to be expedited. Right now, they're looking at it like everyone is in the same bucket. And so if you can't give a good justification for why your case needs to be pushed up, like you have a urgent medical need or humanitarian need, for example, Ukraine, you have some people that are now asking to be expedited because they're in a very, very dire situation. And if they have the qualifications to get to the US, then they let them expedite their case that way. However, that's where I help my clients, but I don't do this on an individual basis. I only do this, provide the service to my existing clients. And that is usually included in the representation. The only thing is that I make sure my clients qualify, and it's not a necessarily frivolous request to expedite. My husband petitioned for my kids who is outside the US, and he was given a letter to do biometrics. So I'm not sure. It may be that they need to do a background check on your husband. If he's petitioning for the kids, I'm not sure what kind of application or what kind of situation this is. That's where it's important to get personalized legal advice. Because remember, I'm not your attorney. I'm not giving you personal legal advice. And so in order for me to fully make sense of this, I have to understand what type of petition, what's the status of your husband, what's your husband's background. It may be related to his background, but I wouldn't know until I speak with you in a private consultation. For consular processing, does both husband and wife will be interviewed together? Now, yes, if the officer feels the need to separate you, they'll let you know. But now they don't usually have a room. Usually it's picture a bank where you have a waiting room or an area where you wait, and then you have glass, and the glass goes straight across, and the bank tellers are there. That's how it's set up at the embassy, at least most embassies. And you and your spouse will be called up, and if they want to separate you, or they are going to indicate only one spouse answer the question, they're going to tell you that right then and there. But this is usually done in front of everyone, so be prepared for that one. And you may be interviewed together. Now, for consular processing, though, they don't usually require the presence of both spouses, but they will still, if both of the spouses are there, they may ask questions of both of you. But if one spouse can't be there, but make sure you pay attention to the instructions, because if they want both spouses there and it's mandatory, they will tell you that. My mom did our biometrics. Okay, I answered that. My husband's petition for my kids who is outside the US. I answered that. What if you get a misdemeanor? Okay. Let's see. State. Okay, let's see. So what if you get a misdemeanor on your record, but you are here on married? Will it affect when you apply? Yeah, it may. That's where it's important. Whenever you have criminal issues, make sure that you have representation, because it may. It really comes down to facts, because even misdemeanors can have severe immigration consequences. Now, what type of misdemeanor is it? How is it described under state law? What did you do? What are the facts involved? This is going to be very important to the analysis. It's going to be important to my analysis about whether you should really be concerned and whether we should be filing a waiver on your behalf, and it's also going to give some insight into how the immigration officer is going to look at it. You should get legal advice and representation. Legal advice at the minimum. My mom did her biometrics, so I answered that. I would have to understand exactly where is your mom, what's going on with the application, do you qualify for adjustment of status, and so forth. When receiving a biometrics letter, is it for the person who filed or for the spouse? So it's usually for the spouse, no, it's usually for the applicant. So I'm not sure. You state it just depends. I wouldn't be able to advise you just because I'm not looking at your records. I'm not representing you. I haven't seen what the petition is for. But it's usually the immigrant. However, if they're calling for your spouse to do the biometrics too, then there may be some validity to it. I would have to understand your situation and then I could advise. Why the petitioner has to do biometrics when filing for the kids. So I wouldn't know unless I understand your situation. Usually the petitioner is not called to do a biometrics, but I don't know if there is a security issue going on or if there's an error. Sweet as Haven, is very important that you get legal advice and representation because you don't want any mistakes that could affect your application. Which is quicker, the fiance visa or the husband green card? So right now, both are taking longer than the usual. The fiance visa is a little shorter. It's 12 to about 18 months. So it could be as little as 12 months, could be as long as 18 months. Also, at embassies where they are severely backlogged, they have been prioritizing the immigrant spousal visas as well. So you also have to keep that one in mind. It really comes down to the embassy and so forth. Let's see. No updates on the I-130. Visa office asks, why do you want to get married in the US instead of your country? How to answer that? I wouldn't be able to advise because I'm not your attorney and I don't know why. You have to, I wouldn't be able to tell you why because your answer has to be honest and it has to come from you and your situation. If you're documentarily approved awaiting interview, how do we speed past the 430K backlog? So it depends on your situation. Do you qualify for it to be expedited? Is there an urgent need? Is there an urgent medical need? Is a child going to be by themselves if they don't get the application? Is there an error that caused the delay? Is there a company? So in the case where a company is sponsoring, will the company lose money if there's a delay? So these are questions that would have to be answered to determine whether you qualify to expedite your case. What if I apply for a fiance visa and decide to get married and apply for a husband petition? Then you're gonna have to start all over again. So if you want to make sure that if you are going to do the fiance visa, you should be sticking with it. If you end up getting impatient and get married, guess what? There's nothing that's in place to say, oh, you got married, we'll switch this to a marriage-based immigrant visa. No, they are going to tell you that you need to file the I-130. So you have to make up your minds and stick with it until the end. If someone is under J1 and we get married, can we apply for the green card? So with the J1, you have to be very careful. Are you subject to the 2-year foreign residency requirement? That's going to possibly change the whole situation for you. You'd probably have to apply for a waiver. So go ahead, schedule an appointment. Let's talk about it. What if I apply for the fiance visa and decide to get married? Okay, so I answered that. Yep, you're welcome, travel designer Lauren. How long after taking the I-485 with marriage-based? So it's about 18 to 20. I say prepare for 18 to 24 months. However, it could be shorter. Right now, I'm seeing about 6 months to a year, but prepare for 18 to 24 months just because there is overall a backlog. Thanks, Lady Moi, for sharing the live. With that, I am going to head out. Thank you for the love on both YouTube and TikTok. Thanks for all your engaging questions. Very relevant questions. I will be back tomorrow at around 4 p.m. Eastern time. Now, remember, the information that I've given you today is not personal legal advice. I'm not your attorney. If you would like me to become your attorney, first we start with a consultation to make sure that you qualify, that I can assist you, and then we move forward in an attorney-client relationship. And so go ahead, start with the consultation, click on the info in the profile so you can go to the About page on YouTube, click on the link, it'll take you to the website, or you can go to the link in my profile on TikTok. It'll take you to the website. Go there. You'll see 3 ways to get in touch. You'll see the phone number, you'll see a contact form, or you'll see the chat. All 3 lead to the scheduling coordinator who will then assist you to schedule that appointment. My calendar is filling up quickly, so make sure you get on it so we can figure out whether you qualify and then get started ASAP. It has been a pleasure. I'll see you tomorrow, or I'll speak with you in a consultation. Have a great one. Bye-bye.